In 1860, Lincoln was elected president. At the time, secession was not a big part of his campaign. But many voters feared that when he entered the White House, he would be against secession and try to put a stop to it. In 1861, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas all seceded from the Union to form the Confederate States of America. Jefferson Davis was elected their president. Lincoln said he'd do everything in his power to keep the Union together. Factors and people contributing to the Civil War and secession. Texas' population almost tripled in the decade between 1850 and 1860. Slave ownership was an economic goal. 65% of the state wealth dominating politics was controlled by slave owners. This attitude was in parts of Texas that slave ownership wasn't even practical. These factors spurred on the secession movement through the late 1850s. A party called the Know-Nothings, which liked to promote pro-American and anti-immigrant foundations, moved Texas toward party politics. This party attracted many white voters. They elected many candidates to city offices in San Antonio. They elected 20 representatives and 5 senators to legislature. Sam Houston. 1793. Sam Houston was born on the Timber Ridge Plantation. 1806. Sam Houston's father dies. 1807. Sam Houston's mother moved the family to Tennessee, next to Cherokee Indian Territory. 1809. Sam Houston leaves home to live with and join the Cherokee tribe. 1812. After living with the Cherokees for 3 years, Sam Houston returns home to Maryland, Tennessee. 1813. Sam Houston leaves home to join the U.S. Army. 1814. Sam Houston fights in the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. 1817. Sam Houston is appointed Indian sub-agent in Tennessee. 1818. Sam Houston resigns from the Army to become a lawyer. He is also appointed Adjutant General of Tennessee. 1821. Sam Houston returns to private law practice. He is also elected Major General of Tennessee State Militia by fellow officers. 1823. Sam Houston is elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. 1827. Sam Houston is the Governor of Tennessee. 1829. Sam Houston marries Eliza Allen. He announces his bid to be re-elected for governor of Texas. He and Eliza separate and resigns as governor of Texas. He leaves Nashville. 1829 to 1832. Sam Houston lives with the Cherokee Indians and was given the nickname Big Drunk. 1833. Sam Houston leaves the Indians to go to Texas. He becomes involved in the rebellion against Mexico and Texas politics. He sets up in law practice in Nacogdoches, Texas. 1835. Sam Houston is named Major General in the Texas Army. 1836. Sam Houston's army won the Battle of San Jacinto. He shouts the famous words, "Remember the Alamo," while leading his troops to victory over Santa Anna's army. They gain independence from Mexico. Houston is elected the first president of the Republic. 1837. The divorce of Eliza Allen is granted. 1840. Sam Houston marries Margaret Lee from Marion, Alabama. She was a strict Baptist who stopped his drinking. They had 8 children together. 1841. Sam Houston served his second term as the President of Texas. 1845. Texas becomes its own state. 1846. Sam Houston is elected to the U.S. Senate, where he serves from 1846 to 1859 as senator. 1859. Sam Houston is elected the governor of Texas. 1861. When Texas decides to leave the Union, Sam Houston refuses to swear allegiance to the Confederacy. He is forced to leave the governor's office. 1863. Sam Houston dies from pneumonia on July 26, 1863. He was in his home in Huntsville, Texas. Sam Houston tried to run with the backing of the Know-Nothings, but Democrats are strong and he was defeated in the only time of his political career. Meanwhile, Indian raids were becoming more severe. The Republican government did not provide aid in fighting off the Indians. They were given a bad name. Fires broke out, and slave owners expected a slave uprising. During the Civil War, Houston and others debated secession. What responsibilities do we have to both sides? Then, cons. It would weaken the Union in the Civil War by losing a state. The less states in the Union or Confederacy would mean less power. Less men to recruit as soldiers, unequal fighting forces. Then, pros. Less mouths to feed the Union. More soldiers for the Confederacy. Divided viewpoints on secession in Texas. Men had to turn to the army financially. Now, cons. If we seceded now, we would lose our national symbols like the Yellowstone National Park, Mount Rushmore, the Liberty Bell, blue bonnets, the eagle, etc. We could get in a war and not have the power of a big nation supporting us. The U.S. would lose the Texas oil boom and gas prices in the U.S. would soar. We would have to travel out of Texas with a passport. Now, pros. We could get away from the government and the trillion-dollar debt of the U.S. We could have a fresh start in our new country. We could be good financially because of the oil boom in Texas. Does Texas, if chosen to, have the right to secede today? What rights do we have to do such a thing? The Texas Constitution states that Texas is a free and independent state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States. The other Constitution states that any one state cannot secede. Joining or separating from the Union was voluntary. The people have choices through power of voting and petition. The Civil War did not prove that secession isn't an option for any state. The U.S. Supreme Court also did not prove that secession is unconstitutional in Texas versus White. It is stated, our conclusion therefore is that Texas continued to be a state and the state of the Union. So we can secede today legally. The big question, how can we support ourselves as a new country? What things are we responsible for in seceding, and how would it affect the U.S. and us? The oil boom. The gas prices would rise in the U.S., and we would be good for 100 years until the oil boom ceases. The population in Midland increased 4.6% in a year.